Okay guys, so we are going to start the demo of our project. We are going to make a side-by-side shaker, one using foam tape and one using chipboard. For this project, I am going to be using our shaker basic set, die set. We're going to be using the square, and then we're going to use our shaker baker add-on. This is the present, and we're going to make a cute little Easter present shaker tag, and then we're going to use our welcome spring paper pad. This is some really beautiful papers. We got plaids in here, nice pastels, and some cute little critters. And then you're going to need some acetate sheets for your window. You are also going to need chipboard. You're going to need some adhesive. You're going to need some 1/4 inch wide foam tape, and then you're going to need some shaker bits. We carry a big line of shaker bits. We have all kinds of styles and cute little characters and little icons of things. So these are our Easter-ish ones. We also have Easter eggs. We have bunny rabbits. So we do have more than just this for Easter, but because I want to make it like a spring chick type thing, I'm thinking I'm going to use our little chicken heads or our little carrots. And then we have these really cool, these are the itty bitty beads. And they come in a lot of colors as well. So I don't know yet what I'm going to be putting in my card, my shaker, I'm sorry, until I actually get started. So the first thing you need is to have all your pieces ready. So I've already gone out and I cut out from my add-on piece. This is the top frame area that would go on top of the base of your shaker. So I went ahead and I had chosen this really pretty plaid paper. And then I wanted to use the bow. I thought it would be really cute in this little fun yellow polka dot. So we're going to do that as our shaker. You're also going to need acetate for your window. But because I'm going to do 2 of these, I want to show you guys the difference. One of them we're going to use with our foam tape. The other one we're going to use with chipboard. So when you're doing it either way, you'll be able to see. The way I prefer is with the chipboard. I think it gives a cleaner look and it definitely makes your shaker a lot more sturdy. So we are going to start prepping our parts here. So the first thing that you want to do is on the one that we're going to be doing the chipboard style frame, you're going to have all of your bases cut out of your frame. Okay, and we're going to just glue and stack them together. Now the thing is, you can adjust the height of this just depending on how many chipboard pieces you end up cutting out. So you really won't know that until you decide which kind of shaker bits you're going to be using. If they're thin paper like little and they're not chunky, then you don't need as many pieces. But when they start getting into bulks, like with diamonds and buttons and even some bulkier things, you're going to need to make it thicker. When you end up using the foam tape, sometimes 1 layer is not enough and you have to do 2 depending on your shaker as well. So I'm just going to get started and I'm going to just start prepping the frame of the well. I call it the well of the wall, whatever you want to call it. This is the part that's going to help hold in your shaker. So I'm just going to take a bead of glue and go around. And the reason why I love using chipboard and dies especially is I know every piece is going to fit perfectly together because you're cutting the same piece over and over and over again. So all I do is I line up my pieces together. I like to make sure it's flush. And when I do that, then I glue, sandwich this part and push it together. So I'm lining it up, making sure it's flush. And then I know, and now it's seamless like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep building this wall several times with all of these pre-cut pieces that I have made. And again, just going to line it up, and make sure it's even there and distributed. And then I just go down the sides and I repeat this for all of them, and then making sure it's all intact. Another thing also, foam tape isn't as hard, at least for me, when you're doing a rectangle or a square, but when you're doing it on a circle, I have issues keeping the foam tape going in one continuous line. So that's another reason why I prefer the chipboard. I'm going to end up getting a really nice, clean look, and I know everything will be flushed. So we're just, again, just continuing to make our wall or your channel, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure everyone refers to it in the different words, but basically you're just making the thickness of what is going to hold those shaker pieces in place. I'm going to do another one here, like so. And it's just building it over and over. And what's great when you use dies, again, is because you're cutting the same piece over and over. You know you can stack them and get them all to line up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to put this last one aside in case I don't use it. Then what you also need to do is you're going to have your backer piece to your shaker, your holder here. And that is usually the solid piece of your die. So in ours, for example, we have, this is the solid of the square, and then this is the frame. We have the tag shape and the frame as well. And our shaker basic set 2 has the circle and the rectangle. And then all of our add-ons fit perfectly to replace the frame that comes with the shaker basic 1 so that you can now do a secondary frame. So now I'm just going to glue this part onto my base. And again, it's all going to line up perfectly because the dies are made to do just that. They all work together and line up perfectly. So now you have the construction of the bottom base of your shaker card if you were doing it with chipboard. If you were not doing it with chipboard, you would have your bottom piece, okay? And then you would be putting your foam tape on it, and then you would be putting your frame right on top of that. Regardless of that or not, though, I would still want to put a piece of chipboard on there just to make this a little bit more sturdier. Unless you're using a heavyweight cardstock, most paper is going to be at your 80, your 80-pound weight. So it is a little bit flimsier. And even though you're going to be using the foam tape on it, it can sometimes make it a little bit bulkier and it just doesn't glue as smooth as it could. So I always like to, regardless if I'm doing foam tape or not, I do like to put a piece of chipboard behind my frame on the paper one, just to give it, again, a little bit more sturdiness to it. So we're just going to take our frame piece and we're going to glue our little present. And again, it fits perfectly because they were designed to go together. You're just going to wiggle room it with that glue and get it to line up. Okay, now you have a nice, sturdier background for your piece. Now, in order to make the wall of this one like we had here, this is when the foam tape is going to come into play. Okay, so what I usually do is I put it on the back side of my frame as opposed to putting it on the edges of my backing piece. But you can do that part as well if you'd like to. But since I'm going to do it the way I normally do it, before I can put my foam tape there, I have to put my clear window. So I'm going to take my acetate and I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto the back side of my frame. And to get this ready and prepared for the foam tape. And again, it's the same die piece, so you know it's all gonna line up perfectly together. So the reason why I like to put the foam tape on this piece as opposed to here is I can line it up better with the frame. And so I can tell, like, oh, I went over a little bit too much and it's going to show on the inside of my shaker here. So that's why I prefer to do it that way. But sometimes people like to just do it right on their base. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm just going to let that dry for a few minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and start with our foam tape. And the most important thing you need to know about when you're doing the foam part is you have to make sure you have a solid connection to all the pieces, because any little gap, a shaker bit can fly out of your shaker card. Whereas when you do it this way, you know it's all solid because you were stacking it together. So I'm just going to line up, and this is our frames on our shaker basics are all 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch foam tape is going to work perfectly for you. And I'm just going to line it up and go across my frame like so. And scissors. And then I'm just going to cut it off at the edge like so. And as you can see, I know that I'm within my frame because I can actually see my frame. And then I know that I didn't have any pieces showing through on the opposite side. Whereas if I went here, even though you would go around the edges and line it up, there's always that chance that you might go a little askew. So that is why I prefer it this way. And so now I'm just going to continue, and I'm making sure that it's a closed gap. And I'm just going to continue this. And I'm going to go around my whole entire frame with my foam tape. Just making sure that there is no gap of an opening, that any of those cute little shaker bits can fly out at the end. And now on our last section here, we're just going to go across again. Oop. My release tape was coming off, and then I wasn't lining it up as close as it should have been. Okay, so there we go, and just close that off. And now you have the channel for your shaker bits on the one using foam tape. Now the difference is, obviously, you can make this one higher and higher by adding your chipboard. But on this one, if you want to add another row to make it higher, you're going to have to take off your release tape and then do another layer of foam tape. So as you can see on the sides here, my chipboard one is just slightly thicker in height than my foam tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do a second layer of foam tape on here. Again, this is all going to be depending on your shaker bits. So you might not need to do this at all. So you're going to have to eyeball how thick your shakers are and how thick your wall actually is. But I'm going to go ahead and, especially for demo purposes, show you about adding that second that second layer of foam tape, I mean. So we're just going to layer. Ooh, this release tape is kind of crappy here. Okay. There we go. That's going to go across like so. And you're just going to trim it. And you're just going to, again, continue like you did on that first layer, just to create and get a higher wall for your shaker bits. And I will show you why I also prefer the chipboard method more than this as well when we're all done. Now, obviously, if you took better care than how I'm doing right now and you went clear to the edges of it, you won't have a gap looking on your finished project when you're all done. But because you're cutting the foam tape, you would have to be really good at getting it right to the edge. And I'm just not really that much of a patient person to go through all of that, to be honest with you either. All right, so now you have your double wall of your foam tape for this one, and then this one's already assembled as well. So now the difference here is on your foam tape one, you're going to be adding your shaker bits into your window, whereas on your chipboard one, you're going to be adding your shaker bits to your back wall, because you still have to put the acetate window on this one, whereas here we're going to have the acetate and put the back wall on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my shaker bits of what I want to use, and I want to use some of these cute little chicks. I'm just going to plunk in cute little chicken heads, and I like them to be as flat as I can when I'm putting them in. Oops. That release tape just wants to come off in a bad way. So we're putting in our chicken heads. And you can mix with sequins and glitters and whatever you want. I am going to add in some of our new itty bitty beads, because I think it'll really bring out all the colors in the plaid. It's got some blues, powder blues, pinks, and some purples. So I'm just gonna open up my jar. And these are super small, and they go everywhere. So you wanna be a little careful when you're adding them, like so. This actually now reminds me of like ducks in the bathroom, because they look like little water. Okay, so I'm just adding a little there. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to grab some of the purples. Again, you can add whatever you wish to your shakers. I just wanted to have some fun colors going in here. And since it's Easter, I thought these little cute pastel type colors and the beads with the chickens would be a lot of fun. Oop, that just went all over. All right, so just kind of lie it flat. I think I need a little more in this one than the other. Just add a little more blue. Okay, so now we're on to our next step, which is securing it all together. So I'm just gonna slide that one out of the way for a moment. And we're gonna get ready to do this one, which is pulling off our release tape. And I prefer not having my shaker on my window piece. I like it when it's on how we're doing the other one, because a lot of the times it's like static to it. So not as fun. And another reason why I don't like doing foam tape too is I am not a very precise liner upper, however you want to call it. That's why I like using wet glue. It gives me that time to wiggle things and get it into places I want. Here, once I stick my backing piece on here, it is going to be stuck wherever I did. So you really have to be a little bit more precision with your eyeballs and your placements to make sure that you pretty much get it as flat on to the actual frame piece that you have. Because if you don't, when you flip it over, you will see it hanging on the outside. I actually did it, y'all. I lined it up. Woohoo, that barely never happens for me. So there is our shaker number one. We're still gonna put on our bows and everything, but now this one is enclosed, there's no leaking, and we're good to go. Now we gotta come back to this one here, and what we need to do is we need to put on our window and our frame piece. Now remember, on this one, we already put the chipboard on. Here, I don't have to add chipboard to the back because the chipboard is going to go right on to the window there. So that is not necessary. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add my acetate to, to the back side here of my add-on frame. And then I can take my acetate window and I can go ahead and line it up. And again, I have that bit of a wiggle room to maneuver it how I need to. I got glue on that spot. I'll have to clean that off real quick. But again, everything is going to line up because the dies work together to do so. And I need to fix, I've got a bulk here. All right, like so. And let me grab, let's see if I have a wipe to get this glue off my corner, right like so. Okay. Oops. All right. And now I can just go ahead and I'll be able to glue this directly onto my chipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and add my glue here. And go around. And then I can take my frame. And I got my paper wet, so it's a little from that diaper wipe, from the wipe. Okay, and now I have that little bit of wiggle room to go ahead and get it into position of how I need it to be, like so. And now I can go ahead and push it down onto my frame. And now this one is also done. Sometimes I like to turn it over just so I can really get it on there. And I flip it because this side is solid, whereas the front side has that acetate, and pushing too hard on that, it might make creases in your acetate. So there are your 2 shaker pieces at this time. And then you can go ahead and grab, I had an extra bow somewhere. We have the bow, we have the bow knot. All right, and because this is also the thinner paper, again, I like to make it sturdy by adding the chipboard to it. So I have one in blue and one in yellow. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my paper to my chipboard. Again, that's just a personal preference that I like, just to make it more sturdy, especially if you're going to make them into ornaments or hang tags, because then you can poke a hole in it for your string. Okay, like so. And then you can go ahead and we can add that little bow knot to the center of our little bows here. And again, I love using dies to cut all the pieces out. It makes everything just line up so pretty. Okay. And there we have that one as well. And now you can just finish it off by gluing your bow to your completed little project here. Just gonna make sure it lines up. Go ahead and put that down. And then the same thing on this one. Like so. Line it up. And I did go a little over with my acetate. I could just trim that off when I need to, when it's all dried. And there are your two shakers, one made with the foam tape, one made with the chipboard. So now I'm going to show you why I prefer the chipboard. And that's because as a finished project, aesthetically, this is what I prefer. The reason why I don't like foam tape is if you look at it onto the side, okay, it's not very attractive, in my opinion. Yes, of course, if you went all the way to the edges, did we get any of them going all the way? This one's closest to the one that's pretty much going all the way to the edge of the edge there. And it's fine, but then you have the two layers and there's the break in there. And I just personally, it just aesthetically is not as pretty to me. Yes, I understand that there's foam tape that comes in black. So depending on your project, you know, if you were doing something nice and dark, maybe something for Halloween, and then you turn it over and you have white showing, it's just not as appealing to me as the chipboard one is. The chipboard one, for me, it just seems more solid. And definitely when you're holding them, the chipboard one is definitely the more sturdy of the two. And that could have to do with your foam tape as well. I mean, if you buy like a good brand foam tape, like the 3M or something like that, it's going to be better than, you know, the kind you might get at the dollar store. But that's the difference and how to make them. One with foam tape and one with the chipboard. And you can go ahead and try them both ways and just see whichever one it is that you happen to prefer. But it's as simple as that. Some other examples of shaker cards that you can make that we have as well is we have our other shaker basic set, the one that has the rectangle. We also have what is the spider add-on shaker. So you get with your shaker basic sets, you get just the bases of a circle shaker, a square shaker, a hang tag one, and then a rectangle. And then we also offer, again, the add-on pieces like this, the present. And we have these in several different designs that go out throughout the year. So this happens to be one for Halloween. It's our spider web one. Then we also have a pumpkin one. This obviously goes on our circle shaker. This is a rectangle. So you can see the different shapes we have. This one comes with the pumpkin, and then it comes with the leaf, the stem, and then the little tendril. I don't know if I actually have that with me. Another one we have, this is our holiday tag one. It's got the snowflakes in them. This one is really pretty if you're doing like silvers and blues around the holiday times. We have one that makes a wreath. And here is the wreath one. This one I did my sample with double-sided clear, so it's see-through, so you can make it into an ornament. So you don't always have to use the backing pieces. A lot of times when people are also making their shakers, they're going on a card, so this would be laying down on, you know, with the backing of your card showing there, which you can stencil inside, you can use colored papers inside, you can do any of those things. This one is a clear one of just a double-sided one, and then I cut the wreath out in both sides, and I lined that up, and I made the wreath. We have this one. It's called Make Your Own Magic. This one is, I didn't finish it. I didn't add shakers to it, but this is another one that fits, again, on top of our circle shaker base. So as you can see, they're interchangeable. They're all made to go together, and we have several of them, and I will show you those really quickly so you can get an idea of all the different shaker add-ons that you can do. Okay, so this is the Make Your Own Magic one that creates this style right there. So it comes with the base circle frame and then your words to make the layer on top. Very nice. And then we have the pumpkin circle one, which is this example. So again, this goes on the circle base one, and you have your stem, your leaf, and your little tendril. You already saw the spider web one. That goes on the rectangle base, and it's just the frame with the little spider coming down. I don't have examples of all of the ones that we carry, so bear with me. This is our brand new one. This one just came out for our March release. It's a game spinner, which this is a lot of fun because you can make every cavity a different shaker with different colors, or you can even layer in different colors of paper to make it look like a game spinner. Add a brad to the center, and it's actually functional as well. This is the wreath one, which is this style here, and it also comes with the circles so that you could put your berries around the edges too. I already showed you the holiday one. We also have one that makes a snow globe. So you would use the circle shaker base. This is the tree line inside with the snow. And then here is the base that goes on the bottom to make a snow globe. This is the candy cane frame. You put this on the rectangle, you cut out your base in white or in red, and then you do the opposite coloring this in white or red. And I'll make a striped looking frame, but don't limit it to just candy cane. This would be amazing at Halloween time with black and orange or purples or greens. And then these are the little candy swirls that go into the corners. So you can really dress this up and make this into Halloween, 4th of July, Valentine's Day. This one's a really cute one to use in many, many ways. And then this one is our Starburst shaker topper that goes on our square one, just like our present one did here. The present you can also use for Christmas, for a Christmas present. You can dress it up in pastels like we did here for Easter. You can make it out of birthday papers for birthdays, bachelorettes if you have someone getting married, or just wedding ones. You can do them in really pretty foils and glitters for weddings as well. So we have, like I said, the 2 shaker basic sets that comes with the bases and then the add-ons. And then we add on new add-ons throughout the year. If you've ever purchased any of our grab and go boxes, some of them have builder dies in them as well that are also for shaker basics. Our Down the Rabbit Hole, which is an Alice in Wonderland theme, comes with a stopwatch for the rabbit. Then our Love Me, Love My Pets one comes with a cute round one that says possum on it with the words for anyone who's a pet lover. So there's tons and tons of different ways that you can use them, and you can swap out different toppers. Again, we design everything so that they're going to fit. So there is no measuring required, no hand cutting required. You just pick the base that you need and the topper that you need and sandwich it all together, and you can make some really, really, really beautiful shakers. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Again, you just need your basics for it is going to be your chipboard or a heavy cardstock. You're going to need some acetate. If you do not have acetate, even we do have our own line of acetate now that we just came out with this year. It comes with 25 sheets, which is a nice thing for your acetates. But if you don't have acetates, there are substitutions you can use as well. I've done shaker cards using tulle before instead. So you can always use other mechanisms and other materials that you might have, netting and tulle. If you're going to use netting, though, just make sure that the holes are smaller than whatever it is you're putting in to your shaker bit. Obviously, you don't want to use netting if you're going to be putting glitter in there because the glitter will just fly out. But if you're using something that's a little chunky, like these kind of things that are bigger than the holes in the netting, you're going to be totally fine to do so. You can also use a lot of the times packaging that you get in the mail. Like when you buy one of our items here and it comes in the bag, you can reuse the bag and you can use that to make your windows if you have a hard time finding acetate. For me, where I live, acetate I could not find for the longest time. So I had to end up always buying it online, and then that got to be too costly. So I would always improvise and use other things for my my windows. So don't ever feel limited in what you can do. You don't even have to have shaker dies to make shakers. You can basically turn any die you have into a shaker as long as there's a part of it that has like a window or a cutout in the center. Just by cutting it out several times and layering it with the chipboard, then you can use whatever the cutout. Like, let's say, for example, you just had a die that looked like something like that. You can just cut this piece out several times, stack it on top, and now you'll have all the channels over and over again to make for holding your shakers. So I hope that you found something of interest to you here in our demonstration today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!